from the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. expressed confidence that current government interventions remain active and responsive to the people's needs amid ongoing challenges, while continuing to explore additional measures to ease Filipinos' daily burden. President Marcos made a statement as he led the 4th Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food, and Transport or UPLIFT Committee meeting at the Malacañang Palace, aimed at strengthening programs to support Filipinos amid global challenges. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the President underscored the need to expand interventions, noting that while current programs are delivering positive results, additional measures are still being explored to further improve Filipinos' lives. According to Castro, more than 24,000 overseas Filipino workers or OFWs have already received government assistance, and over 4,000 OFWs and 1,300 dependents have been safely repatriated to the country. An energy supply, Castro reported that 471,000 barrels of oil have already been delivered to the country, while 1,000 million barrels of the 2 million ordered have been confirmed. For the vulnerable sector, Castro said that more than 977,000 public utility vehicle or PUV drivers have already benefited from the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations or AICS program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Meanwhile, over 373,000 have received fuel subsidies. There are also 425 drivers from the National Capital Region or NCR who became part of the Tupad Tuloy Pasada pilot program, a joint initiative of the Department of Labor and Employment and the Department of Transportation, aimed at augmenting the incomes of PUV drivers facing high fuel costs. To ensure a stable power supply, the government is also fast-tracking the development of 22 renewable energy projects with a combined capacity of 1,471 megawatts. Castro also noted that currently 86.89% of 665 government agencies are compliant with energy-saving measures, while 2,933 agencies and entities have adopted flexible work arrangements to cut fuel and electricity consumption. Efforts to stabilize food prices are also ongoing, with the price hold on basic necessities and prime commodities extended until May 10, providing continued relief for Filipinos. The Bente Bigas Meron Na was also rolled out in 661 sites, benefiting more than 402,000 Filipinos nationwide. A total of 14.9 million kilograms are already sold at a lower price to vulnerable sectors. The Palace Press Officer likewise assured the public that the administration remains committed to mitigating the impact of rising global oil prices and tensions in the Middle East.
Maliban sa mga nagawa ng mga programa at pagbibigay ng ayuda, layunin ng Pangulo na tukuyin ang iba pang mga posibleng hakbang para pagaanin ang pang-araw-araw na buhay ng mga Pilipino sa kabila ng mga hamon na sama-sama nating hinaharap. Sa nasabing meeting, kampante ang Pangulo na ang kasalukuyang mga hakbang ng pamahalaan ay nananatiling aktibo at nagpapatuloy base sa pangangailangan ng taumbayan. Ayon sa kasalukuyang tala, nasa mahigit 24,000 OFWs na ang nabigyan ng tulong ng pamahalaan, samantalang aabot na sa higit 4,000 OFWs at 1,300 dependents ang natulungan upang makauwi ng ligtas sa Pilipinas. Pagdating naman sa ating supply ng langis, nasa 471,000 barrels na ang na-deliver sa bansa, habang nasa 1 million barrels out of 2 million barrels ang na-confirm sa ating order. As of today, April 21, nasa 52 days na ang average supply natin ng langis. Patuloy namang sinisiguro ng pamahalaan na mayroon tayong sapat na supply para tuloy-tuloy lang ang trabaho at mga serbisyo. Para naman sa pamimigay ng ayuda sa ating mga kababayan na mula sa vulnerable sectors, nasa higit 977,000 PUV drivers na ang natulungan sa ilalim ng AIX program ng DSWD. Aabot na rin sa mahigit 373,000 ang beneficiaries ng ating fuel subsidy. And-extend na rin ang price hold para sa basic necessities and prime commodities para mas malayo pa ang maaabot ng budget ng bawat pamilyang Pilipino. Walang price increase ng basic needs at prime commodities hanggang May 10. Patuloy na titindig ang gobyerno kasama ang mga mamamayan upang salagin ang epekto ng mataas na presyo ng langis sa pandaigdigang merkado. Makakaasa po ang lahat ng ating mga kababayan na hindi titigil ang administrasyon sa pagkilos upang maibsan ang bigat na dulot ng tensyon sa Middle East.
National Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary, Palace Press Officer, Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said the government has rolled out relief measures for truck drivers and shipping operators of agricultural products to cushion the impact of rising fuel prices amid the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Citing information from the Office of Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said that among the measures are cutting key regulatory and terminal fees for truckers who deliver agricultural goods. On the order of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., various government agencies have separately begun providing financial assistance to public utility vehicle or PUV drivers and operators. At the same time, the Maritime Industry Authority or Marina approved a 75% reduction on key regulatory fees covering permits, safety certificates, vessel registration, and accreditation. The Palace Press Officer noted that the reduction in regulatory fees is in addition to slashing the annual tonnage fee to just 1 peso per gross tonnage for Philippine-registered vessels above 15 gross tonnage for 2025, payable in 2026, while fully exempting vessels with 15 gross tonnage and below. Marina also suspended the implementation of its January-issued schedule of fees and charges for the period starting April 20, and it will remain in effect for 1 year or for the duration of the state of national energy emergency unless earlier lifted or revised. On the part of the Philippine Ports Authority or PA, the palace official said roll-on roll-off or RORO terminal fees were slashed to just 1 peso for vehicles transporting agricultural goods, a drastic cut from the current charges, ranging from 258 pesos to 516 pesos depending on the vehicle type. In addition, she said the Department of Agriculture or DA and Department of Transportation or DOTR tollway operators have waived toll fees for DA accredited cargo trucks, with the DA expecting to generate over 100 million pesos in savings for haulers as a result of the measure. The policy will be implemented for a period of 1 month starting April 20, 2026. The MMDA and LGUs, on the other hand, are also exempted from the truck ban on vehicles transporting essential and perishable goods, as well as oil tankers which may operate at any time.
Hiningi po natin mismo yung detalye kay ES Ralph Recto. At ang sabi po niya, naiintindihan niyo po talaga ang bigat na dinadala ng ating mga truck drivers at shipping operators sa pagtaas ng presyo ng langis. Kaya agaran pong gumawa ng hakbang sa utos na rin ni Pangulo ang si ES Ralph Recto. Ito po ang napag-usapan. Sa Marina po, 75% reduction on key regulatory fees covering permits, safety certificates, vessel registration, and accreditation. Meron din po, nabawasan din po ang annual tonnage fee to just 1 peso per gross tonnage for Philippine-registered vessels above 15 gross tonnage for 2025, payable in 2026. While vessels 15 gross tonnage and below are fully exempt. With regard to Philippine Ports Authority, PPA, it slashed the roll-on, roll-off RORO terminal fees for vehicles transporting agricultural goods to just 1 peso. This is drastic cut from the current charges ranging from 258 to 516, depending on the vehicle type. period, effective April 10 to 2026, in place for 6 months and may be extended or adjusted depending on the fuel prices and its impact on operations. DA and DOTR. Tollway operators have waived toll fees for Department of Agriculture accredited cargo trucks. The DA expects to generate over 100 million pesos in savings for haulers as a result of the measure, period, for 1 month starting April 20, 2026. MMDA and LGUs. Exempted from the truck ban are vehicles transporting essential and perishable goods as well as oil tankers which may operate at any time.
Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. directed the Energy Department to ensure a continuous fuel supply to prevent stagnation. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said in a press briefing at Malacañang. President Marcos convened the 4th Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food and Transport or UPLIFT Committee meeting, which tackled government-aided programs already implemented as well as the measures to cushion the effects of the Middle East conflict in every Filipino. As to the country's fuel inventory, Castro reported that the Philippines has a 52-day average supply as of April 21. Some 471,000 barrels of fuel were delivered to the country with confirmed orders of 1 million barrels out of 2 million barrels. Citing Garin, Castro said there is no fuel supply shortage in the country, stressing the Philippine National Oil Company or PNOC is buying fuel as a reserve or buffer.
At pinagpilitan ng Pangulo sa ating Secretary of Energy, kay Secretary Sharon, na dapat na hindi maputol ang supply ng krudo o produktong petrolyo sa atin. Dahil ayaw po ng Pangulo ang stagnation. Nagkakaroon na po ng inflation dahil po bunga ito ng sigalot sa Middle East. So ayaw po na dumating pa sa estado ng stagnation, kaya kinakailangan po na ang supply ng krudo ay manatili at tuloy-tuloy sa ating bansa.
Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang reported high compliance among government agencies, including the Presidential Communications Office or PCO, with the energy-saving measures ordered by Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in response to global economic shocks. PCO Undersecretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said that 86.8% of the 665 national government agencies are complying with the directive. She added that 2,933 agencies and entities have adopted flexible work arrangements to reduce fuel and electricity use. The President earlier ordered national government agencies to limit power consumption in government offices and promote hybrid work setups. Castro also said the government is accelerating the development of renewable energy projects to boost supply.
Para naman tiyakin na matatag ang ating supply ng kuryente, kasalukuyan ng pinabibilis ang paggawa ng 22 renewable energy projects na may katumbas na 1,471 megawatts capacity. Habang nasa 86.89% na sa 665 government agencies ang compliance sa energy-saving measures ng pamahalaan. Nasa 2,933 agencies and entities din ang sumusunod sa flexible work arrangements upang makatipid sa petrolyo at kuryente.
Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang clarified that Fitch Ratings' decision to revise the Philippines' credit outlook from stable to negative does not constitute a credit rating downgrade, stressing that the country remains on solid economic footing. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Department of Finance or DOF has already explained that a negative outlook is not equivalent to an imminent downgrade and should instead be viewed as a cautionary signal rather than an immediate change in credit status. Castro said Fitch itself noted that the outlook change does not immediately affect the country's credit standing and highlighted the Philippine government's policy response to external pressures. Castro said Fitch also recognized policy measures such as expanded economic tools and fuel-saving strategies as indicators of agile and responsible economic management, which helps sustain market confidence. She emphasized that these developments show that the country continues to enjoy strong investor confidence and resilient access to global capital markets. She cited sustained demand for Philippine government securities and a diversified investor base. Fitch recently revised the Philippines' outlook from stable to negative, citing rising risk from recent disruptions to public investment exacerbated by the ongoing global energy shock. Despite this, Fitch has affirmed the Philippines' BBB investment grade rating, which means moderate credit worthiness with some economic risks.
Tinanong din po natin dito mismo ang DOF patungkol po dito at ito po ang sinasabi ng Department of Finance. Ang Fitch itself po ay sinasabi na ang negative outlook, it does not mean a downgrade is imminent. And babanggit ko na po, and I quote, Fitch also explicitly highlighted the government's decisive and proactive response to global challenges, particularly the energy shock. Measures such as expanding the policy toolkit and implementing fuel-saving strategies demonstrate agile and responsible economic management, which continues to strengthen market confidence. Aside from that, the Philippines continues to enjoy strong access to global capital markets, supported by a diversified investor base and sustained demand for its Republic of the Philippines issuances. These are clear indicators of investors' trust in the country's long-term trajectory. So yan po ang binanggit po ng DOF sa atin.
Presidential Communications Office Under Secretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang welcomed the improvement in Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s trust and performance ratings, saying he remains focused on governance regardless of survey results. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the president will continue working despite fluctuations in public approval. She added that the administration is grateful that the public recognizes its efforts.
Magandang nakikita po at nararamdaman ng mga kababayan natin kung ano po ang ginagawa ng gobyerno ng pamahalaan para sa ating mga kababayan. Ngunit muli, sasabihin po natin, ang Pangulo, tumaas man ang kanyang approval rating, bumaba man ang approval rating, patuloy po magtatrabaho ang Pangulo. Hindi po siya maaapektuhan ng negatibo, positibo ng mga approval rating. Pero nagpapasalamat rin po tayong lahat dahil nakikita nila kung sino ba talaga yung nagtatrabaho at sino lang yung mga nagbabakasyon.
Remarks came after Octa Research released its Tugon Masa survey for the first quarter of 2026, which showed President Marcos' rating at 54% with 30% expressing distrust. His performance rating stood at 55%, up from 51% in the fourth quarter of 2025. His trust rating also improved from 48% in the same period.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said claims that the safety of former party list Representative Zaldico may be at risk upon his return to the Philippines are without basis, even as it assured the public that the government will provide necessary protection in accordance with the law. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said concerns about alleged threats against Co should be substantiated before being raised publicly. Castro reacted to Senator J.V. Ejercito, who warned that ensuring Co's safety would be a major challenge amid efforts to bring him back to the country. She reiterated that the government remains committed to ensuring the safety of all Filipinos.
Bago po muna tayo magbigay ng assurance, definitely naman lahat ng po ng Pilipino ay dapat safe na bumabalik sa Pilipinas. Yan naman po ang assurance ng pamahalaan. Pero dapat tignan muna po natin, saan nanggagaling yung sinasabing death threats? Meron na po bang naipakita? Meron na po bang na-blotter o whatever? So, tingin ko dapat doon muna kasi there's no basis. Diba? There will be lacking of basis if you cannot prove that death threats against Zaldico. So, dapat doon tayo mag-start. May death threats nga ba? Kasi how can you assure somebody na hindi ka mapapariwara pagbalik mo sa Pilipinas kung wala naman death threats? But nevertheless, the government will always assure the safety and that the needed protection to be given to Saldico.
The Philippines in July 2025 allegedly for medical treatment in the United States. In September, his travel authority was revoked and he was ordered to return after he was implicated in budget insertions and anomalous flood control projects. He later resigned as a COA Bicol Party List representative. COA is currently under the custody of Czech authorities after being flagged for illegal entry as confirmed by Malacañang on April 16. Officials are working to facilitate his return through diplomatic and legal channels. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. earlier said his return will follow due process and international legal procedures amid ongoing coordination with Czech authorities. The Department of Justice and the Department of Foreign Affairs are leading coordination with their Czech counterparts to process COA's return, with a high-level team expected to be deployed. Castro declined to provide operational details, noting that Justice Secretary Frederick Vida is the authorized official to speak on matters related to COA status and repatriation. She also explained the limited release of information including photos or videos citing the involvement of another sovereign state.
Kasi mayroon pong ibang country na involved. So maingat po ang gobyerno sa pagbibigay ng anumang anunsyo. Hayaan na lamang po natin na magtrabaho ang ating gobyerno at muli si Secretary Vida po ang maaaring sumagot sa iba pang mga katanungan. Hindi po tayo privy sa anumang kanilang pag-uusap at meeting, pero in general po, ang Pangulo po ay nag-uutos kung ano ang nararapat at kung ano ang sinasaad ng batas. Muli, si Secretary Vida ang maaaring sumagot ito kung wala pa po siyang binibigay na detalye, most probably because may involved na ibang country, kaya hindi pa po namin masasabi kung ano mga detalye patungkol dito.
Meanwhile, dismissed statements by former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque questioning COA's reported detention, reiterating that official pronouncements from the president and concerned agencies should prevail. She added that law enforcement agencies such as the Philippine National Police and the National Bureau of Investigation can initiate probes into the spread of disinformation without requiring direct orders from the president.
Ang Pangulo po ay nagsalita na. Si Secretary Vida ay nagsalita na rin. So bakit po ba natin paniniwalaan ng isang fake news peddler? Muli, hindi kailangan mag-utos ng Pangulo sa NBI, sa PNP, o sa anumang investigating bodies patungkol sa fake news. Kapag nakita po nila at alam nila na fake news ang pinapakalat, kailangan lamang po itong imbestigahan.
Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Accountability for the use of confidential fund lies with Vice President Sara Duterte, Malacañang said after a new commission on audit or COA's issuance of notice of the disallowance for the Office of the Vice President or OVP. Speaking to reporters, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said COA rulings serve as the official basis for determining whether government funds were properly utilized, emphasizing that the agency head is ultimately responsible for explaining expenditures. Castro made a statement after COA issued the latest notice of disallowance involving 375 million pesos in confidential funds in 2023. She noted that COA had previously dismissed an appeal involving the OVP's 73 million pesos in confidential funds in 2022 and ordered its return. She said further legal steps may still follow as COA has yet to make a final decision.
Wala po sa palasyo. Kung sila'y maniniwala o hindi, dahil ito po ay ruling mismo ng COA. Sila po mismo ang nagsasabi at nag-decide kung merong di umanong pondong hindi tama ang paggamit. So sila ay nagdesisyon na. Yung isa po na-dismiss ang appeal na sinampa ni Vice Presidente regarding the 73 million pesos na confidential funds at ipinababalik ito. Sa ngayon, may pangalawa, may notice of disallowance na nagkakahalaga ng 375 million din patungkol sa confidential funds. So, kung hindi maipapaliwanag ito ng head of agency, yan nga po isa pamumuno ni Vice Presidente Sara Duterte, sa kanya po ito babagsak dahil siya po ang namumuno dito. Kaya mas maganda po na maipaliwanag ito. Well, anyway, nag-decision po ang COA. Tignan naman po natin kung magkakaroon pa ng ano pang final decision dito.
Castro clarified that the administration is not driving the impeachment proceedings against Duterte, saying this is solely within the mandate of Congress. Castro noted that the focusing on one issue does not mean neglecting others, stressing that multiple investigations into flood control anomalies can proceed simultaneously.
Kung malalaman po niya at medyo updated po sana sila sa ating mga inuulat dito, nakita po nila kung papaano kumikilos ngayon ang Ombudsman, Office of the Ombudsman, pati po ang DOJ. Patuloy po na nagkakaroon ng paghihiring, patuloy po ang pagkakaroon ng preliminary investigations. So, patungkol po ito sa mga maanumalyang flood control projects. So, tuloy-tuloy po ang pag-iimbestiga dito. Ang patungkol po doon sa bakit tinututukan ng pamahalaan, hindi po ang palasyo, hindi po ang Pangulo ang tumututok sa impeachment proceedings laban dito kay Vice Presidente. Ito po ay trabaho ng Kongreso. At ang Kongreso po, sila po ang may authority na duminig kung meron mang issue tungkol sa mga impeachable offense na nagawa di umano ng isang impeachable officer. So hindi po ibig sabihin na merong tayong issue about flood control projects ay iiwanan na yung mga ibang anomalya. Kasi ang ibig sabihin yan, pag ganyan palagi, so ang ibig ba na lahat na nilang kaso sa korte ay huwag nang dinggin at tumutok na lamang sa flood control projects. Hindi po yata ganun dapat.
Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.